are so excited to be able to welcome you here. So let's go ahead and get started. To start, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Liz Coleman, and I'm one of the enrollment advisors here for the program. So let us know if there's anything we could do to serve you best through this process. But just a few quick housekeeping things. This is going to be roughly an hour-long session. We want to be courteous to your time, but on the same token, want to make sure that we're providing you with all the information that you need to help you determine if this program is going to be a good fit for you. However, we understand that life happens. You might need to leave early, or you just want to go back and listen to this session over and over, and that's fine as well. So upon completion of this, you will actually receive an email here in the next few days with a recording of this session, so you can go back and watch at your own convenience. But we're also going to have an incredible group of panelists joining me today, and I'll be sure to introduce them here in a second. Our program director, Rachel Hanusa, is actually going to be interviewing our panelists and asking a lot of questions about the program, but we also know that there might be something that you have questions about that we haven't addressed. So please feel free to utilize our Q&A feature. You'll see that if you just hover over the bottom of your screen. And this is ultimately a fantastic opportunity to learn more about the program, whether it be from the perspective of our faculty, current students, or even alum from the program. And then, of course, if there's anything that we have not covered today and you'd like to learn more, feel free to call us. That way we can connect you with an enrollment advisor like myself. And there's our number and chat information there on your screen. So with that being said, I want to take some time to introduce you to our special guest. Perfect. So we have two faculty joining us today. We have Gary Wood and Ray Sanchez. Gentlemen, before we move forward with our other panelists, you guys mind taking just a few minutes to introduce yourselves, what brought you to the U, and what you currently do as far as this program is concerned?
Go for it, Gary.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Yeah.
Could you ask the question again, please?
Oh, sure. I'm so sorry. I was just saying, if you guys don't mind just introducing yourselves to our guests today, just sharing a little bit about your time here at the U and how you serve for this program.
Well, if you'd like me to jump in, I'm the director of the Live Entertainment Management Program, the master's degree here at And I came in 2014, actually, and I came from the field where just prior to that, I was managing a performing arts center. And I absolutely adore I can't say enough thanks for being here at the university. It's been the best part of my entire career. Not just because I have a great deal of passion for the subject matter, but I am fortunate year after year and semester after semester to work with remarkable students and gifted students from around the world. So, and I'm always available to answer questions and so forth along the way, and I'll turn it over to my colleague, Professor Sanchez.
I am Ray Sanchez. I'm a professor in this program. I'm also the chair of the Department of Music, Media, and Industry. And I started teaching at the U exactly 20 years ago this fall. Couldn't believe it.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. You know, I think I got something in the mail that I'm supposed to get some kind of gift or something, you know. But anyway, before that, considerably before that, I was a student here. And in between the time that I started teaching and I left school, I was 100% in the music industry, quite a bit of that time in the live entertainment part of the business. As a musical director, touring musician, and you know, a number of other roles. But I teach the copyright course. I teach the entrepreneurship course, and this semester I'm also having a lot of fun teaching the touring course. So all areas that I've been heavily involved in my career.
Fantastic. Well, again, thank you both so much for taking time out of your busy schedules to speak with us today. Your input is so valuable to our prospective students that are joining us. And next, I definitely want to invite you guys to, or let me introduce you to our alum for the program. And we also have a current student. And so just give us 1 second while we switch over our slides. Perfect. So this morning, we're excited to be able to welcome Michael DeMarco, Kelsey Hawkins, and Taylor Rambo. Guys, again, thank you as well for taking time out of your busy schedules, whether it be taking time out of work, your current courses, Michael. So again, want to give you guys the same opportunity just to introduce yourselves. Tell us a little bit about your time at the U, and then we'll dive into the questions. And Michael, I'll start with you, and then we'll just move forward with Kelsey and Taylor, if that's okay with you guys.
All right, terrific. Glad to be here. Saying hello from New York. A current student, about 3/4 of the way through the program. Very much enjoying the process and the variety of the curriculum, and terrific experience.
Yes, I'm Kelsey Hawkins, and I'm a bit of a hybrid student. I started out last year on campus, and I had a job offer with the Colorado Symphony, and it led me to switching to online. So right now I'm doing artistic coordinating, working with the guest artists and conductors that come to the symphony.
Hi, everyone. I'm Taylor Rambo. I'm the executive director of the Georgia Symphony Orchestra just north of Atlanta in Georgia, obviously, Georgia Symphony. My work is sort of every aspect of running the organization. I'm sort of the CEO and the COO all in one, doing everything from paying payroll taxes to meeting with donors and heading up marketing campaigns and whatnot. And I was a student in the online program and graduated in 2017.
Fantastic. Well, again, I want to reiterate the same that I did to our faculty and just say how truly honored we are to have all three of you joining us today. We get so many questions from students asking what it's like to be an actual student. And so you guys are going to be able to answer those questions for us today. And so without further ado, Rachel, if you'd like to begin the interview portion, I know that our viewers would be very excited to get started.
All right, thank you, Liz, and thank you everyone for being here. I'm going to start out with our faculty. And Ray, I'll start with you with this first question. How do you interact with the online students in our live entertainment program? What do you do for them? How do you interact with them?
Well, we have current students on the call right now, so they can probably tell you as well as anyone. But I put a lot of value in our weekly face-to-face meetings that we have, and I do that consistently throughout the course. Also make myself available at other times if somebody wants to talk about something. This is a business of relationships, and it's not just a relationship that a student would have with me, but rather, even more importantly, is the relationships they build with each other. And one of the, I think, most important aspects of having online programs is the opportunity to connect with people, quote unquote, face to face, like we're doing here. It's funny, I feel every bit as connected in class with my online students as I do with my on-campus students. And in fact, it's nicer because they don't have to wear masks, so you can see everyone's faces. So that's really, I put a lot of stock in that part.
Thank you. Gary, a different question for you. How is the curriculum for the master's degree designed, and what are some of the key skills and learnings that this program focuses on?
Well, I'll jump into the second part of it first and remind me of the first part of it later. But one of the things that I talk to my students a lot about is the fact that the goal is to cover all of the key components as it falls under this very large umbrella of live entertainment management. So we touch upon them all, but there's also this cross-curricular activity where topics may appear in more than one course. For instance, if we're talking about finances, there are 2 or 3 different courses where that topic can arise, and we discuss the aspects of that issue in the context of whatever course it is. So there's a lot of cross-curricular activity that goes on. But I wanted to say that, one of my goals as the program director isn't just to give people sort of the same experience. I really want to help individuals achieve their unique goals because they come to the program in different places in their career. Some come right out of undergrad and some have been in the career for a number of years already out there making great things happen. So there's a lot of work that goes on in terms of trying to tailor the discussions and the curriculum and the activities around the unique needs of the individual students, because again, they come from different parts of the world with different needs. The first part of your question is really so much so that recently we really kind of narrowed the focus of the program to live entertainment, because that's really where the industry was focusing its attention, and that's where we wanted to go. And it's really apropos because as things begin to ramp up again, a lot of the skills and a lot of the leadership that's required is needed now more than ever. So it really has a front of line experience to it because of where we are in our world today, talking about the topics that apply to 2021 and beyond.
Thank you. And another question for you, what are some of the different paths that you've seen graduates embark on upon completion of the program?
Well, there always seems to be, there's a commonality. First of all, let me say the common thing is that our graduates, which I'm so blessed about, really go off into difference-making positions from the start. So whether it's because of title or because of opportunity, they get into a position where they're able to really start influencing the team or the organization that they're in right from the beginning. And I love to see that from our alumni. But I would say that, you know, many go into the commercial side where they're working for live entertainment management companies like Live Nation and others that are on what we call the more commercial side of the world. But we also have those who venture off into opportunities that fall under the more nonprofit umbrella, like symphony orchestras and so forth. So there isn't necessarily a singular or even two paths, but those are the general umbrella where people fall into. But generally speaking, we've been very successful in seeing alumni get into some very prominent organizations. It's really, really fun to watch.
Great. Ray, how about you? Do you have any different answers to that, or where have you seen graduates go?
Well, before I answer that, I want to address, because in the chat, Sarah put up a question, and in fact, that's my course. So she asked what courses we have that cover recent changes in the law. Well, that would be copyright law that you're referring to when we talk about the Music Modernization Act. And yes, that is something we absolutely cover. We try to stay on top of everything that's going on. This is an ever-changing field. Interestingly enough, copyright law is one of the areas that changes the slowest, but Music Modernization Act was a very, very big and important change. And yes, we absolutely cover that and lots of other fun things. So what I'm thrilled to see is the diversity of areas that students who graduate this program go into. I mean, it just so happens that you know, we have a couple of folks here involved in the symphony world, but you know, Michael's involved in a very different kind of world. That we have had plenty of students being involved in commercial music, for lack of a better term, popular music, whatnot, and even in kind of diverse areas that involve live entertainment. So, because if you think about the skill sets and the knowledge that you gain here, it's ultimately not limited to music, even though we focus it around music, and music being such an important part of live entertainment, and live entertainment having so much to do with music. You know, I actually have a student in my on-campus class that is an executive for a sports team and deals with all the licensing issues and stuff there, and of course learning a whole lot about that world, because again, these skills that you learn in this program are highly transferable. And also, oh, this is great question from Shelby, again directly connected to this. I know Gary, you're going to say, but I'll jump in on that as well. Actually, we historically have had a number of people and continue to have people that are already working in industry Actually, we had a student graduated last year as a touring musician out of Nashville. What's going to happen, Gary, you can jump in on it as well, is, and I come from industry, and so does Gary. What often happens is we all know our corner really well, but we really don't know the other areas all that well, and certainly how the pieces fit together is sometimes opaque. We try to make that very, very clear here and try to really look at the big picture and how other areas fit together.
Great, thank you. Gary, did you have anything to add on to that?
Yeah, part of Shelby's question, but a question that comes up from a lot of prospective students is sort of flexibility in the program. And one of the things that Professor Sanchez and I decided over a lot of discussions was the idea that opening up to more flexibility. Originally, the program had many more required courses and less electives. Now it has 5 and 5. So for someone like Shelby and for others, that does allow a little bit more room to explore areas that they may not have been able to before, aspects of music business or of the live entertainment management program, as Professor Sanchez alluded to, that maybe they're not more comfortable with. So as an advisor to the program, if you were in the live entertainment management program, we can have discussions about options in terms of a little bit more flexibility in terms of expanding your exposure to things that maybe otherwise the degree wouldn't have offered. So, and again, as I said earlier, as I get to know you, we can venture into areas that you may find that aren't your area of expertise that you've always wanted to know more about. And the network of students that are involved, the network of alumni that we have involved can help as well. But it's really an important aspect that we understand where you're coming from so we can meet your unique needs.
Thank you. And what would you say distinguishes this program from other institutions around the country offering similar programs? Gary, I'll start with you on that.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, we are not sort of the typical generalized arts administration program, although we do delve into many of the areas that they may focus on. But since our focus is on live entertainment management, that shifts our focus a little bit differently than, again, the broad humanities sort of aspect of arts management into something a little bit more narrow, proactive, get into the industry, get to work kind of attitude, frontline sort of stuff. Here in Miami, we have the cruise industry, we have a lot of live festivals going on. We have a very vibrant live scene. So it makes sense for us here at to focus in that area.
Thank you. Yeah, Ray, go ahead.
Yeah, and yeah, just jumping on that, our location is really interesting because of everything Gary just said. We also have a lot of tours that come out of here. A lot of people aren't aware of that, but if anyone is interested in the international aspect of touring, and this was a huge part of my career, every major international tour, just about probably comes out of Miami. When I say international, I mean international to Latin America. Latin music has become such a big deal. I mean, this was going on for decades, but more so, even though they may draw personnel from other areas, a lot of dancers come from New York and LA on a lot of these tours. Musicians they try to get them from down here first because there's just so many great musicians. But again, that infrastructure is here. We have every major label here, and they're international divisions, and then of course the festivals and the concerts and the major venues. So we built the program really thinking about what the real world of live music and live entertainment looks like, not focused on the one nonprofit niche, even though clearly we help people that in those industries, because we have folks here already that are working in these industries. So
yeah, I was going to jump in too, Ray, if I could. I think about Kelsey a lot because Kelsey came to us with a remarkable set of diversity in terms of her career already. She had been already doing a variety of different things and was sort of exploring which areas she might want to go forward with. A lot of that, but I want to just say that, one of the things, Rachel, you had asked earlier, in addition to decision making and being a leader, which I try to push through all my courses, I think versatility from a career standpoint is another thing that we're attempting to accomplish. And when Kelsey and I talked, if you don't mind me, Kelsey, jumping in with you, but we had a lot of conversations about what the options were given the diversity of the experience she's had. So Kelsey, I don't know if you want to say something about that, but you're kind of a shining example of finding your way through a wide-ranging skill.
Sure. Thank you, Professor Wood. Yeah, that was something that I wasn't really sure where I fit in to the puzzle of the industry. And I actually flew out to Miami to meet with Professor Wood after we'd spoken on the phone right before everything shut down for the pandemic. And I was really open about my background and some avenues I was exploring. And one thing that he really made an effort to do is whenever I got to the program, he was very attuned to my interests and where he believed my strengths were. And so there was an opportunity that came up for the School of Music to facilitate their booking process for hiring musicians. And so, started out with that. Then, really encouraged me to join a student organization that puts on a live event once, twice a year, Frost Sounds. And I was able to just jump in and say, okay, well, I have this public relations background. I'm going to handle the content development for marketing. And I'm finding through my booking position with the school that I really love working with artists. And then through an elective that I had with the school, recorded label operations taught by the brilliant Dean Elton, that's when I started to lean in more to kind of exploring a little bit of the commercial music side. And so I was actually introduced by a different faculty member to an artist manager that happened to be in the Frost Network and was exploring that side this summer. And I really started to understand that it was more live entertainment that I was most interested in, and it was working with artists. And, I think through the curriculum and through these opportunities and my program director really caring and wanting to see me succeed and wanting to help me find where I fit in to the industry was very critical to me having, I would say, just, a wonderful dream job right now. So thank you.
Great. Thank you for sharing. I have one final question for faculty. This is more of a timely question, but we'll start with Ray on this, and then Gary too, you can chime in, but are there any trends in virtual live entertainment that may present new opportunities for graduates?
Funny you should ask. I actually just came back from a conference where this was a big part of the conversation. The pandemic absolutely fast-tracked technologies to that end. The coming 5G, I mean, we hear about 5G everywhere, but it's not really everywhere yet. That's going to have a huge impact on the idea of virtual live entertainment. And in fact, I think what we're going to see coming is hybrid, is both. That combined with VR and VR related virtual reality or augmented reality, probably a better option. I actually, in something that I am working on right now in my dean role, I'm looking at these technologies very carefully because we're building a new venue on campus. We want these technologies to be part of everything that we do. So yes, there's no doubt about it. Yeah.
Thank you. Gary, have you seen anything out there?
One of the aspects of this that I was involved in a panel a couple of weeks ago talking about this, and it was through NIVA, which is the National Independent Venue Association. But one of the things that they were talking about was the additional and new revenue stream. I think, as people began to engage arts experiences online, we made huge leaps in terms of quality of presentation, what works, what really is effective, what people would be willing to pay for. And so I think venues maybe are not quite as afraid to include an online option for tickets in certain circumstances as another revenue stream. And I'm really excited to see where that will go, hand in hand with getting people back into the venues as well. And I'm very optimistic about both of those avenues.
Great, thank you. And thank you both, Ray and Gary, for being here and helping to answer questions so that we could all learn a little bit more about the program and learn about you. I'd like to move on at this point to our current students and alums. So we have Michael and Kelsey, who are both students right now, and they're going to be finishing up this spring. And then Taylor, who is one of our alums. So I'd like to start, Michael, I want to direct this question to you. Why did you choose a University of Miami and the Frost School of Music 4-year graduate program?
Hi, so I mean, I had known about the Frost School's reputation as being a very strong school in the music business curriculum in general. But what particularly attracted me was the arts presenting aspect, because a lot of the programs, even around the country, I mean, of course, I'm here in New York, but I was looking at online degree programs during the shutdown because I found myself with a lot of extra time on my hands with the shutdown, and I wanted to be productive. The arts presenting aspect was very attractive to me. So even though I make my living in pop music, producing and agenting and putting on concerts, my love and my background has always been classical. I have 4 years of study at Juilliard in orchestral conducting, but I never worked in the arts field. So the idea of approaching music business this time around, because my undergraduate degree was in music business, but approaching it this time around through the lens of an arts presenting, not that it's exclusively arts presenting, because certainly it appeals to a lot of different people, but this made it a little bit more unique for me to be exposed to the sponsorship, the grant writing, the running of a performing arts facility, and not just, as Professor Wood said, just in running a museum. This was very specific in live music presenting, which was very attractive to me.
Great, thank you. And Kelsey, the same question for you. Why did you choose the University of Miami?
Yeah, well, I was originally looking into music business graduate programs because I feel like that's what I always come back to in terms of passion and interest. And the live entertainment management program came up, and I thought, wow, actually, that's the specific area that I'm most interested in. So as far as I could tell, there weren't really any programs like it. Even like, as Professor Wood was talking about with the arts administration, it seemed like that sweet spot with live entertainment and music business. And, getting to actually talk with Professor Wood, having such an accessible and warm and enthusiastic program director, that was really important to me. And I actually enjoyed how small the school is in a way, like it's a big network, right? But the setting is actually smaller and more accessible also. And I thought that was really interesting. I have to say I've got an interesting perspective starting out in person and then transitioning to online, but the campus is stunning. I've never seen anything like it. But yeah, and then I also explored the faculty and their track records in the industry and just thinking, wow, I get to learn from these people that have been involved in the industry, and some people are still actively working in it too. And I thought that the hybrid of the curriculum was going to be really great. So it's been a perfect balance. And then I just have to say, if you are considering the online program, let's say you do have a career that you're already active in and you can't really take that break to be a full-time in-person student, this has been great. It was a very last minute switch for me. And I would say that having the 7-week, one course at a time has really allowed me to, keep pursuing my degree in lieu of moving to a brand new city and starting a new position. So the accessibility, the flexibility, the faculty, all of that just really drove it home for me.
Great, thank you. Taylor, a different question for you. Can you tell us a bit about what your career path has been since graduating and how this degree impacted your job prospects or job search?
Sure. Well, the interesting thing about the journey that I've been on has been, it's gone all over the place. When I started in the program, I actually did the same thing Kelsey did. I was in person, then I went online. And the online program gave me the opportunity to get into a job situation that I wouldn't have been able to do had I stayed in person. That actually I got a job because of an internship that I was doing about halfway through the program. And I worked for the Association of Performing Arts Professionals and got to see a national understanding and an international understanding of the entire industry. When I completed the program, I moved into fundraising and actually worked in fundraising positions at the Washington Ballet and then Arena Stage, which is a theater company in Washington, D.C. And then when the pandemic hit, I was actually equipped to come back home, even though I was furloughed from my job, which happened to a lot of people in the live entertainment industry. I actually was in the right place at the right time to put in a job application to become the executive director of the Georgia Symphony. So the skill sets that I developed in this degree program really kind of left me open to understanding the entire performing arts industry, the live entertainment industry, from ballet to theater to orchestra. And it's so cool because when I started the program, I actually was offered the opportunity to apply to run a performing arts center in my hometown. And now the Georgia Symphony actually performs in that space. So this is a real big homecoming for me and an opportunity for me to do, anything from management of random aspects of the administration of an arts organization to fundraising and now running an entire organization where there are moments, especially in response to coronavirus, where I'm thinking about things like the legal aspects of the live entertainment industry course that I took. And also we're worrying about things related to copyright law and streaming and synchronization licensing when we're talking about doing online content. There's really almost every aspect of the degree program that I learned is being made evident in my career so far. And it gives you that latitude to keep shifting around and trying new things. So I'm really glad that I went to the Frost Online version of the live entertainment management program.
Great, thank you. That's great to hear. We actually have another alum that's joined us, Laurel Frederick. Hi, thank you for joining. I'd like to just turn to you quick, if you could just tell us a little bit about your experience in the degree, how that has impacted your career path, what you're doing now. That would be great. Oh, 1 second, you're on mute. Oh.
While he's working that out, I
Okay.
just want to jump in and let you know a little bit about a project that we're working on, which is pretty cool and speaks to what Ray and Gary were talking about earlier about doing virtual entertainment and bringing that forward as a result of the pandemic. We actually recorded a series of 20 videos in and around our city of Marietta, Georgia, and during the pandemic, and we released them all. But we are right now exploring an opportunity to put QR codes and signs where all those videos were shot actually in the parks and in the spaces in the city of Marietta where we did those things. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to activate our virtual content by putting it back out into the physical space where we were able to record it. So I think there's always interesting ways for you to take digital content, high quality recordings, and then also reactivate them as kind of guerrilla marketing opportunities, kind of marrying that post-pandemic getting back to live performances and the during pandemic shutdown and lockdown.
Cool. Thank you for sharing. Laurel, I see you're available now. If you can tell us a little bit about yourself and your
Yes.
your
Can you hear me
career.
now?
Yep.
Awesome. I'm so glad to be with you as well. The program, to me, in my opinion, is one of the best in the world. When I came in, I was just getting to start the pilot program for private school K through 12, and we actually started kindergarten. Now we're up to 7th grade. Classes that we were able to take with that. In addition to that, we were able to do live event concerts for the community, which brought in revenue. And so the different classes that we took for negotiating contracts and being able to do live events for the city actually gave us the capital we need that is sustaining us, along with scholarship funds. So I'm actually demonstrating the practical example of it every day in our community with the private school and the concerts that we're doing. So I'm super excited to be a part of live entertainment and management. It's amazing. One of the best programs in the world. Yeah.
Great. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
Michael, I'm going to jump back to you. What has been a highlight so far in your experience in the online program?
So there's been a lot of highlights and a lot of enjoyment working through the curriculum. I have the ability of having a wide view in that my undergraduate degree is in music business. But back then, when I got that degree, people were walking around with something called Sony Walkman. And there is always a lot of changes in the music business. That doesn't make it unique, but experiencing the curriculum through, again, for a second time, it's refreshing. The support that I think that we get from the professors, as Kelsey was saying, very experienced people, is really terrific. I'm going to compliment Professor Wood and Professor Sanchez for a moment, okay? I've had a lot of professors in my life. Every experience I've had with every professor across, not only is it obvious that they want to help you digest the curriculum and really understand it, but they sincerely want you to be a success. And I think that's really stellar. It's not just about digesting the curriculum and getting a grade. It's not just, hey, I have office hours if you have any questions. Every student, I defy any student to say differently, will get the feeling that these professors are dedicated, not just for you to learn the concepts, but to be able to use them in real life. Something Professor Wood basically repeats with almost every assignment is try to imagine you're making this, you're doing this essay as if you were presenting it, if you were, presenting it to the board of a performing arts institution. So constantly attaching the real life scenario to the work that you're doing in the course is really indispensable. And it's done with a very, very sincere effort to make you a success with the knowledge that you gain from the program. And I think that's very special.
Thank you. Kelsey, a question for you. How did you realize that a graduate degree would be the right next step for you in your path, in your career? And what are some skills you've gained so far as a result of this program?
Sure. Well, I briefly was exploring music supervision several years ago in Los Angeles. And at the same time, I was dabbling in live events, just kind of freelancing. And every job that I got was through a referral. It was through some kind of personal connection. One thing I noticed when I was doing music supervision before I decided to really pivot and commit to live events was I was having to learn, copyright law and publishing on the fly. And it's a fast-paced world, and that was a challenge. And I think I started to realize that having industry-specific education would really level up my career. In addition to also being able to have these kind of intelligible conversations, even if it's beyond your department. And so I kind of recognized that quickly. And then also the network that comes along with doing a graduate program. Everyone that I had spoken to that had gotten their master's was like, yeah, you know, it's definitely a commitment in terms of time and finances, but oh my God, I wouldn't change a thing. So I would say, you know, the networking aspect and also the industry knowledge from the program was a driving factor for me. And sorry, the other question, you were saying some of the skills that I've developed since the program. Yeah, I would say probably, again, having the intelligible conversations. Like, for instance, you know, I'm not really familiar with classical music or the nonprofit world. And I'm now working for a symphony. And we've had a lot of meetings because we've had some leadership shifting, and we're really trying to build our development department. We received a very large endowment recently, and just kind of understanding how the organizational shifts work and how, you know, boards really impact the decisions of the organizations and how you can use certain funds and how you can't use them, and how important these other departments are to having the organization function as a whole. Just that kind of understanding that people right now do not have the time to explain to me. I can go in there and I'm having this real world experience where I'm applying everything that I've worked on so far in the program to this moment right now. I can think specifically and I know these probably have different names because we did shift the names for the curriculum, but the facilities, venue management, also the sponsorship and development course, you know, and even when it comes to booking the artists from the tour management and production side of things, it really helped give me that kind of wherewithal to communicate with these different stakeholders and, you know, just be able to have a better understanding of all that. So I would think that's a huge and valuable skill.
Great, thank you. Laurel, I want to jump back to you with a question. What was a highlight of your experience in the online program? Oh, you're on mute again.
How's that? Is that better?
That's good.
My apologies. I think the one of the main highlights being a part of the online, that we had a community of different different students that were in the master's program from variety backgrounds that brought so much experience, from attorneys to they were already working in the publishing, and they were pursuing their degree with us. So the experience was being able to tap into those relationships, as well as to having the relationship with the professors like Dr. Wood and Dr. Sanchez, Professor Sanchez, and those being able to have debate. I remember going actually to the campus to sit down one day with Professor Sanchez, and he was just very practical in discussing the process of how to be a part of the master's program. And that made me feel very much at home and acceptable as a part of the team. And I appreciate that. That was one of the most standout experiences, being to actually sit with the professor in advance to the class, as well as meet with students that had experience on their online experience.
Great, thank you. Taylor, a question for you. How did your career ambitions change as a result of the program, or did they not change? But while you were in the program, did anything change for you in terms of careers and ambitions and all of that?
Yeah, sure. Well, like Michael, I was also a music business undergrad before I went into the live entertainment management program. And I remember being a senior in undergrad going, I guess I'm going to start a music publishing company. I really wasn't sure what aspect of the music industry I wanted to get into, but I do remember hearing about this program and suddenly going, oh, that sounds like where my heart's at. And especially since live entertainment management also covers cultural organizations that are nonprofits, that missional driven aspect, which is something that's very core to my own understanding of self, it was suddenly incorporated in the curriculum in a way that when you just talk about music business and all the mechanical aspects of music business, it didn't quite click for me. But once I started to see that connection and I then started to get the scope of the performing arts field, it definitely took me in directions I never expected. I never expected that I'd work for a ballet company. And I learned such interesting things working for a ballet company that are specific to that art form, but at the same time are general to the field. You know, nonprofit arts organizations have to fundraise, they have to market, they have to put together all the curriculums for when they have a school of music or a school of ballet, and the artistic direction versus the executive direction of the organization. And so it definitely took me in that space. And then also while I was in the program, I realized that fundraising as a part of the performing arts field is such a critical aspect of that. And so that took me into fundraising and working for several different organizations to do that kind of work, which has ultimately led me to this executive director position. Because generally, if you want to lead an arts organization, you need to have fundraising experience to also augment your knowledge of the field, because they want a leader who can help keep the organization sustained through dollars in addition to traditional revenue sources like ticket sales, merchandise, and things like that. So I'd say the program definitely changed how I thought about this, but also I had some very interesting conversations with Professor Wood over my time in the program, who took a very deep interest in me and was willing to help me understand that the straight and narrow path is not necessarily the one that's expected of people, or rather it's expected, but it's not often the case of what actually happens. So there was mentorship that happened in the program through the professors, through Professor Wood in particular, to help guide me towards where I am today and to reassess the value of the educational aspects. While there's the book knowledge that's important, there's also soft skills that you can develop around that knowledge that comes from mentorship and connection with the students and the faculty of the program. So I think those things definitely guided me. You know, I never could have imagined that at 29 years old, I'd be the executive director of a symphony orchestra. And I just hope that I can keep this job for a couple more years.
Great, thank you. I have a final question. I'm going to ask Michael this one. So similar to what I was asking Taylor, but you've already been working for many years in live entertainment. Do you feel like your career might be shifting after doing this program or from taking different classes in this program, or is it just helping your current career?
Yeah, so the curriculum at Frost and the live presenting, arts presenting program, for me, expanded my knowledge in an area that I don't work in. I'll give you an example. In one of the courses, I think it's Arts Project, Professor Wood, you know, makes you think in terms of what your personal mission statement is in this industry, in this business. And, you know, I could comfortably say that my personal mission statement for the past 20 plus years is profit. That's all I thought about. That's all I care about. I'm a talent agent. That's all I live for. If I had to expand it to a paragraph, more ways to make profit. But now putting on an arts hat, you think more in terms of, well, how am I going to advance the art that I love so much? And it gets you thinking about preparing for other things. I believe, and I'll be finishing the program next May, I'll be fully capable between my business experience and the curriculum path through here to teach at university level. I'll be fully prepared to work at a performing arts organization. But I could do a lot of different things in my spare time because I do have a full-time job, but there's never enough time in the day for me to do all the things that I want to do. So I carve out periods of my life to do things that I do in addition to my main mission statement, which is profit. Am I definitely prepared, have the credential to teach at university level? Absolutely. Will I be able to work at Performing Arts Center in many different capacities? Absolutely. Yeah.
Great, thank you. And thank you to all of you for being here, our students and alumni. It's been great to hear from you. I just want to mention that in addition to the Master of Arts in Live Entertainment Management, we also have 4 graduate level certificates that go along with that as well. And there are 9 credit certificates, so you take 3 classes in each one, but they all have like a little focus on part of the degree. So arts presenting fundamentals, arts leadership, arts management, and also tour and live entertainment administration. And so that's for people, if you're not sure yet about a degree, if you just want to get a little taste of something or just a certificate, that's another great way to go. And if you do the certificate and then decide to do the degree, that can fully transfer into it as well. So I just want to mention that. Gary or Ray, I see that the chat has been active. Is there anything you wanted to comment on or answer from the chat?
Well, Sarah had a question regarding law degree and then additional MA, and I would say, just say briefly that she and I should talk further, and I know Ray reached out too, to have a broader discussion about that. Sarah would not be the first who's ventured in that territory, and the quick answer is that we're attempting to broaden people's awareness beyond one aspect of what their expertise might be, so that perhaps they can take on a larger role within an organization or company. I do know an attorney who, I'm not sure she still is, she was president of the symphony orchestra for a while, but came with a law degree. So, but there are many options that one with that degree can explore beyond just the law. So I would love to engage in that conversation further, but I think it could be a great match.
Well, and I'd love to speak to that as well, just because the current chair of the board of directors for the Georgia Symphony is someone who has a great and deep experience in the legal field. She's now the CEO of the Claims and Litigation Management Alliance. But she has provided such incredible benefit to me as an executive director without a lot of legal knowledge when it comes to like HR aspects, especially concerns around coronavirus protocols and responding to the legal mandates of the state of Georgia. There's definitely a match and a great opportunity for legal work and live entertainment work to live together. Whether you decide to continue in your legal profession and learn all of this stuff so that you can be a better volunteer and steward of the arts industry, or if it's something where you want to shift yourself into the live entertainment industry, the world is your oyster.
Great, thank you. I'll turn it back to Liz now, since we're getting close to time here, but thank you again to all of our panelists. It's been great to hear from you. Thank you. So Liz, back to you.
Absolutely. Well, I'd like to echo Rachel and just extending a huge thanks to everyone being here today. I'm told daily during my conversations with students that this is something that I've been looking for years. And now that I see that has it, I can't wait to join the program. And so come join these incredible group of people. They are fantastic to work with. And you guys just basically instilled that during this session. So appreciate all of you being here. Students, again, thank you for joining us as well. As a reminder, if you're looking to start this program in January, our early admissions deadline is right around the corner, is November 8th. And by meeting that deadline, you would, of course, qualify for the early admissions, but also qualify for that $300 tuition deposit waiver. And because, we heard a lot about intentionality in the classroom. And so the only way our faculty are able to pour into students on an individual basis, and let me mention this as well, these are the same faculty who work with our on-campus students. And so we like to keep our classes very small and intentional so that you can develop those relationships to help with networking and just overall growth as a professional. So be sure to apply. It is free. However, as an incentive to you guys for joining us today, we want to make sure that you absolutely are able to take advantage of that tuition deposit waiver. So it is going to be free for you guys, and just be sure to connect with your enrollment advisor about that. that. Again, I know we've covered a lot of information today. If there's something that we've missed, I know that Professor Wood and Professor Sanchez were very gracious to include their email addresses in the chat, but by all means, please feel free to contact myself as your enrollment advisor, and I'd love to help you start that application process and hopefully get admitted so that you can join our U family. Again, thank you all so much for your time today. We look forward to working with you further, students, and hope everyone has a great rest of your day. Thanks so much, everyone.